before I went on the air here from a good friend of the show. It says, let me pull it up. It says, I think Republicans are cooked in 2026. My feed on X is plagued with angry leftists. What do you think? Well, here's the thing. It's easy to look on the surface right now and go, oh, yeah, the Republicans are doomed in the midterms. They could be in serious trouble. And I can see why people might think that. Now, what your social media feed says does not necessarily reflect reality, as we've learned time and time again. Whoever yells the loudest is kind of the winner on social media. And as we've learned, very rarely do those folks ever represent the ever so silent majority. So I wouldn't put too much stock into what social media says, especially, here's the thing with some of you, what's probably happening with a lot of you, and I can see why some of you guys would maybe foresee a blue wave coming here, but a lot of you are probably spending specifically on Twitter, which I'm no longer on. I have an account to get stories and videos and media for, but I don't actively tweet anymore. But a lot of you are probably on Twitter spending a lot of your time arguing with leftists. And Twitter is just like any other algorithm. It's going to point you in the direction of the content you interact with the most so they can drive more clicks and more ad revenue. And we all know how the business works, right? So if you guys are on there arguing with liberals all day or trolling them, which, by the way, you're doing the Lord's work. I'm not knocking you for that at all under any circumstances. But if you're on there trolling liberals all day, you're going to get pushed a lot of liberal content because the algorithm knows you're more likely to engage with it. It's really that simple. There's probably a lot of liberals out there that do nothing but sit on Twitter and argue with conservatives all day who are going, oh, my God, how does America not see how upset I am? How are we in such a minority right now? Because the algorithm kind of manipulates your worldview to whatever you interact with the most. So it's easy to see that. So I don't think that it's going to be this giant blue wave going into 2026. I think the response I sent to this text, and I love that you guys come to me like I'm some type of legitimate political analyst. But I got the last two election cycles pretty damn close to on the nose. I told you the 2022 midterms were going to be disappointing and to buckle up because it's not going to be this red wave that everyone on our side's telling you. And I told you in 2024 that Kamala Harris's campaign was astroturfed. So I'm pretty good. I even called 2016 for Donald Trump. Way back in the day before I was even on the air, I called 2016 for Donald Trump. I said, this is, if you look at the base, his base is a whole lot more motivated than Hillary's. And everyone said I was crazy, and I was right. I called 2020 for Joe Biden. Whether there was fraud or not, I'm still going to count it as a win. But I think you'll see kind of similar to what you saw for the Republicans in 2022. My response to this was they're about as cooked as the Republicans were in 2022. Like I said, I love that you guys come to me for this. I have no formal education in politics. I'm not a political analyst or anything like that. All I do is I watch trends. It's something I followed as a hobby for a long time because I find it interesting. So I just watch trends and I can kind of tell which direction it's going to go. So we're not going to see a blue wave. We'll see a blue ripple. And there's a couple of reasons. Number one, there's no chance in hell that the Democrats take back the Senate. If the Democrats want to take back the Senate, they're going to have to hold all of their battleground states. They're going to have to flip Maine and North Carolina, which isn't undoable, but they're also going to have to flip Florida, Texas, and either Ohio, Nebraska, or Alaska, which seem to be the three most attainable. And Nebraska, if it flips, would be to an independent, which it looks like our good buddy Dan Osborne is back running for office again. Well, at least that's what it appears. You think maybe Dan will come back on the show? I wonder if Dan will come back on the show if we invite him. I heard they all liked our video. I actually heard they got a chuckle out of it. But so they have no chance at winning the Senate, virtually no chance at winning the Senate. I think, as you see time and time again, people are frustrated with Congress as a whole, but not necessarily their congressman. So you will see some of these Republicans start losing. So you'll see the House probably flip blue, but not to the degree a lot of folks who are maybe thinking a little bit more wishfully over on the left think it's going to be. And the reason for that is, well, there's two reasons. Number one, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are probably going to be in somewhat similar positions in terms of popularity heading into these midterms. Now, right now, at this point in his presidency, Joe Biden's approval rating was much higher than Trump's, than Trump's is right now. But you have to consider the context of that. At this point in his presidency, Joe Biden's approval rating and popularity was at its peak. Remember, we had just gone through a chaotic year in 2020. You had the global pandemic. You had economic chaos. You had all the riots going on. Cities were burning to the ground. Joe Biden promised people a return to normalcy. And, that normalcy was, where we just had politicians that committed war crimes and actively pushed us into nuclear Armageddon. Just slowly, though, right? Nobody was using mean words toward protesters that were destroying entire cities and pissing on national monuments. Of course not. So people saw Biden as a return to normalcy. So he had a pretty decently high approval rating at the time. The difference was Joe Biden's approval rating at that point in time peaked. Whereas Donald Trump's, what you're seeing right now, he's hovering around 44. I think he's bottoming out. This is as low as he's going to go. This is like when you buy, not a financial advisor, but when you buy a stock when it's at its lowest point, knowing it's going to go back up. That's probably where Trump's at right now. We're past the initial shock and awe of a lot of what he promised to do for his presidency. So the tariffs are in place. You've had the market reaction. The market's only going to go up, guys. Not a financial advisor, but it's probably only going to go up. I checked my stocks today. They're up. They're way up. It's way higher than it was a year ago. It's not as high as it was 3 months ago, but it's higher than it was a year ago. So my guess, and I'm, again, not a financial advisor, talk to someone who knows what the hell they're doing. My guess is by this time in 2026, we'll be back to record highs in the stock market, and nobody's going to be talking about the market anymore. So I think Trump's bottoming out. This is the initial reaction to the shock. And then as kind of, some complacency sets in, people are going to go, okay, well, whatever. And it's going to be kind of like, all right, this is normal. It's fine. It is what it is. And there will be people who like it and people who don't like it and everybody in between. But I think people are going to chill out, maybe coming around like fall, winter of 2025. And Donald Trump's approval rating will start to go back up. So you're going to have a president who, while maybe he's not the most popular guy in the country, come for the 2026 midterms, he's going to be trending in the right direction, and it'll be enough to save some of these down ballot Republicans. That's the first reason. The second reason is the second reason I think the Democrats are in a very similar position to the Republicans in 2022, coming up on these 2026 midterms, is the Democrats are behaving the same way the Republicans were going into the 2022 midterms. And what I mean by that is they're doing a great job at pointing out problems, and they're doing a great job at making it clear that they're not on the other guy's team, but they're not doing such a great job at offering solutions to those problems, which, if you remember, I had a whole tirade after the midterms in 2022 on the air about how the Republicans didn't offer anybody any alternative. They just said, we're not them. Well, how are you different than them? Don't worry about it. You have to elect us to find out. We don't know what we're going to do, but we know we're not going to do what they're doing right now. And that's essentially the message the Democrats are pushing. Look at these tours that the national figures, Tim Walz, AOC, Bernie Sanders, I think Gavin Newsom's kind of dabbled in it. These guys are going around and they're talking a big game and they're trashing people. No one's really offering solutions. No one's really saying, this is how we're going to do things differently if you elect us. And when people are offered essentially more of the same, or a total wild card roll of the dice that they don't know what's going to happen, it's simply human nature to go with the devil, even if things aren't great, because you think, well, how much worse could it get? If it's not totally falling apart, which it's not going to be in 2026, if things aren't totally falling apart, well, I might just stick with what I know. I don't want that type of radical change. We've been through enough these last couple years. I just want some consistency here. You've also got the Democrats, just like the Republicans were in 2022, they have not learned, and they're clinging to an ideology that is extremely unpopular. Remember, another thing I said after the 2022 midterms was that nobody motivates Democrat voters quite like Donald Trump. The Republicans were clinging to MAGA, which has been totally revived as of now. But in 2022, it appeared MAGA was dead in the water. DeSantis was the new torch carrier back in 2022. If you remember, I was on here. I crowned him, and I was wrong on that. I jumped the gun there. But MAGA was DOA. It was an extremely unpopular political identity. It was a poison in a lot of purple or light red or light blue districts to have associated with your name. And it cost the Republicans because they could not let go of the MAGA movement in 2022. Now, long term, it paid off for them, but we're talking short term. We're comparing midterms versus midterms. The Democrats refuse to let go of the woke shit. The woke shit, which, by the way, motivates Republican voters every bit as much as Donald Trump motivates Democrat voters. The woke shit, which turns the average independent voter off in 2025 right now and soon to be 2026, even more than the associations with Trump and MAGA turned off the average independent voter in 2022. So they've got a lot of problems. I'm seeing a lot of them double and triple down on some of the insanity that Americans so adamantly rejected a couple of months ago in the 2024 election. And I think that's going to cost them. I see next to no path that they take the Senate. I see Trump's stock will be trending upwards going into the 2026 midterms because some of these deals are going to take a while to set in, some of these policies. The foreign policy deals that he's trying to strike, these peace treaties. Listen, man, let's say we're like summer of 2026 and he gets a legitimate peace treaty, ceasefire, whatever you want to call it, between Israel and Palestine. Summer of 2026. That's a game changer. Maybe fall. He strikes a legitimate peace treaty. And he gets to go, look at what a great job we're doing. Look at these deals. Maybe China caves on something major economically going into fall. I mean, you have some legitimate October surprise. All it takes is one domino to fall. One domino to fall. And right now, the way Donald Trump set him up, he's kind of sandbagged the first half of the first year of his term here, hoping that it's going to pay off in the second. So it's like what Biden was doing with the economy, right? So you'll have all these deals that are out, and people like me come on the air a couple weeks ago and say, hey, when are we going to get some deals closed out here? And then right around midterm time, all the dominoes start to fall. That could be what he's planning here. And if just one or two of those actually hits, people are going to go, oh, there we go. This is what we voted for. This isn't so bad. And it'll bail them out. So I don't see, and a lot can change. I'm not calling this my official prediction. As we know, this is evolving. I'm not going to slap my name next to it and go check back with me in a year and a half. This is going to be the truth. This is the gospel right here of American politics. A lot can happen between now and then, both ways. So I'm not going to slap my name next to it. I'm just telling you, if like they do those stupid standings on the NFL games. It's like week 8. If the season ended today, this is the playoff picture. Well, the season doesn't end today. But if the midterms were held today, I don't see it being a giant bloodbath for the Republicans the way that a lot of people think it would be. I just don't. There's too many factors working against the Democrats, too many trends. We'll check back in April of 2026 and we'll see how it's going. Maybe a totally different tune. They may be in position to make gains, which would be unprecedented during a president's midterm. So who knows? Not me. All I do is come on here and talk shit and make predictions out of my
I'm
ass,
gonna
right?
try.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click the link in the description to get the full episode on Rumble. If you prefer to listen along, you can actually get us on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. You can also go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great shows and all the exciting projects they have coming up. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the Chinese Spy app that is TikTok, and be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks, and we'll see you every Saturday for brand new episodes of That's Based. Peace.